Alright. Cards up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think I'll actually get coffee this time. Same spot.
Do they actually have any tea here? I wonder.
There's a kettle right here.
Oh, even better.
There should be some tea, if I'm not mistaken.
Even better. There's orange juice.
I heard about, you had some fun over the week.
One could say that. Other could say successful, experiment. Other could say a monster was born. You remember, Jeff the frog, right?
Mm.
He was the one who transformed.
You
Yet
name
to
your test
inform,
subjects?
a lot of people like to take care of them, and as well as, our
Well,
animal handler. Very fond.
the original 5 frogs, yes.
Yes.
And I only have mine labeled by a number. That way I don't get attached.
We did have to take care of them for a few months. Because they had to, 5 frogs isn't quite enough to run a lab.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so we currently have about 200 now.
They do
So-
breed quickly, so.
Yes, it
Even
took
more so
about
than
3
rats.
months. So, in other words,
Is
yes,
it
we
frogs or
had...
toads? Do you have a specific species that you go for, or is it just some local frog?
The only local frog they were able to find was the invasive species of the bullfrog. So,
Okay.
might be one of the factors why it was slightly more aggressive, other than just simply the serum alone.
The serum is known to increase aggression in general, so it's difficult to tell.
Indeed. Sadly, frogs don't have the mind of a rat, being able to have that
The training, yeah.
mammalian, yes, and the training.
But it seems that when they hulk out, they lose any sort of training they have, at least in the current state, so... If I could make one keep its training, even if it's still rather aggressive, it could be useful, but I haven't reached that stage yet.
Other than training, you might want to get one that's bonded, perhaps. That's might be a
see.
key. But, in other words, the only difference between the regular frog and the frog hook was the fact that its back became highly armored, and it was still able to use its tongue as a tongue attack. As well as grew more humanoidistic characteristics. That's the one thing about the serums that I've noticed testing with the frogs, even though it's once brief.
It seems to work well with certain... What's the term?
Species?
Evolutionary traits.
Mm.
You were
I
saying?
suppose that is interesting. That, animals do seem to
Indeed.
become more humanoid. Slightly. Well, other than being, giant and, monstrous.
Yeah. The other piece of information that was able to learn and figure out was I made a conclusion about the black serum that we can manufacture. I tested it on on a frog, and it practically grew and died almost instantly.
Are you talking about the serum when you mix the Whisper and the Tiger Drug? I want to make
Yes,
sure we're
the
talking
black
about the
one.
same thing.
Yes.
Yes, it kills whatever it doesn't get along with biological systems.
Exactly. Which might be the best solution against hoax. Because I don't
it
think
is
there's a
very
way
quick
to
to
actually...
make.
Indeed, and I don't think there's a way to actually revert someone who's already been serumed. Unless you've
Well,
been
that's
able to find...
If there was a way to at least semi-revert someone, at least to get their systems more back to normal, even if it's not perfect, that would be ideal. But anything that will quickly kill them is always a benefit, especially since the serum strategy that I had doesn't work on the rat hulks.
This black serum that might be our best bet then.
And it can be made on the field as needed.
Indeed.
Just be very careful with it. It's not kind. It's very volatile, so.
Indeed. I should be able
On
to...
our end- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I should be able to put it into some elephant trunk-sized darts for my dart gun to use if I ever run across them. But you were saying?
I was going to talk about what we have discovered this past week.
Oh, wonderful.
So we tested out the last chance serum to see its perfect, well, its ideal situation on a rat. It did in fact bring it back to life, have it behave absolutely normally. However, we believe we probably didn't use quite enough because it did wind up dying after about a half hour. But I think we can conclude that it does in fact bring people back to life if it's used very shortly. Like, I'm talking minutes after someone's deceased. Which means that if both of us have a half, if something happens out on the field, or it'll take way too long for us to get the half from the other side in order for it to be any good.
Indeed.
We're also down to the half, so we can no longer do experiments on it. Do you have something to add?
As to I suppose your list of ingredients, and we might have well, we weren't able to actually figure out what the ingredients are, but at least have a lead as to why it is so hard, because as it turns out, the last chance serum itself seems to also have the same alien, or I suppose
It
extraplanar
has the similar
components.
alien style structures. The
That,
tiger serum, which means if we can find where they're getting the stuff for the tiger serum, it's likely the same place that they're getting the stuff for the last chance. Which leads on to my next bit of research, unless you wanted to continue.
I actually have a bit of insight on that. That was the other part of my research, was looking into the ingredients and if there was a paper trail. After looking into it more, as I've said, I've never seen the ingredients I've seen the ingredients before, but I've never seen it used that way. And after looking around and researching it, it's only propped up in Marlow or Ravenholm. Nowhere else in the world, or on a planet or anything of the like. So
it's
the only
likely
conclusion
they're
I
the
can
only ones
derive
that have
is Marlow is the facility where they're making it. Which means they're going to have that as well. If they can make
Which
it there,
means
they're
if
going to have some.
We don't want someone coming back. We need to be sure that they're in a state where they can't be last chance.
Exactly.
So, destruction of the head.
Exactly. Who knew zombies would be such a fitting situation?
Well, we've known for months now the stuff that even the tiger serum could bring things back from the dead, if imperfectly. It's just a matter of to what degree. Even if it's
Indeed.
temporary, the fact that anyone can come back from the dead, it can be very dangerous. It means your numbers are immediately at least doubled if everyone comes back at least once. I've also done
Exactly.
research. I'm still going over my notes. It's very dense reading. But I think I've located at least 2 possible planes that these cellular structures are from. And then once I'm able to identify common biological rules from those planes, you may be able to find some sort of weakness. But it also
If it
means
can-
that they'll have access to these planes, which brings its own questions of what else can they bring from those planes.
I think anyone with the amount of power that Mr. McKay has should be able to get things from different planes, or even different planets, galaxies perhaps.
Well, we'll have to find a way to combat it, find the common weaknesses for things from that plane.
Indeed, once we figure out the structural makeup of whatever these cells are, we might be able to find a counter and reverse the process. That's when we'll actually get our quote-unquote anti-serum. That actually
And that's the end
fixes
goal.
and not destroys. Indeed.
Let me pull open my list too. I can bring up our notes just to make sure I'm not skipping over anything.
I do wonder what sort of what sort of things we might be up against.
Well, the first thing that...
Of course, Ravenholm
know of.
has its monsters, but
Yes, and I'm still trying to figure out what this queen is as well. Been trying to figure out how to break the brainwashing, or at least salvage whatever left of his mind. Which... still working on. Would it be attempting in the next day or two? Ask him some questions to try to get more information on this queen.
And I'm still trying to get a response from my insider. They're difficult to contact. I have to go through at least leadership. So, and they don't
Indeed.
seem to be in a rush. Oh, another thing. After finishing our autopsy on the rat Hulk and the human Hulk, it seems that the cells interact with rat DNA and cells better than human. That's why the Hulks for rats were stronger than humans. They seem to become more stable, which was unusual. I'm not sure what the cause of that is. It could just be something in the DNA, but it's something to think about. Certain species outside of humans seem to interact better. I'm not gonna say we should go make
Strange.
monsters and different creatures, but it's just an interesting observation. And maybe that it
Yeah.
turns out not using humans might be a better thing in the end. Not just for ethical reasons.
hopefully not a sign of things to come.
If that's something you guys worry about. I'm not gonna worry about what you guys will and won't do, but it's a little bit of a
Well,
relief.
if we're able to even have a small semblance of control over these hulks that we make, the boon that will give us against Marlowe would be rather insane.
I know there is a way to make Hulks that can still think and talk if they're humans. If I can achieve a similar thing with the rats and have them keep their training as well as, I mean, they know my commands. Imagine if we could, in fact, order them around. And they still have the ferocity and instincts as well as teeth and claws of rats themselves. And their stable nature. I don't know what they're doing that causes these hulks to be brain stable, but it's something.
When you interacted with these rat hulks, did they attack first or did you attack first? I'm curious.
They attacked first. The first one, it wasn't a trained
Okay.
rat, so I didn't expect it to even respond to any commands, and it escaped immediately. The second one, I did try giving it commands, but it was already rampaging. So currently, what I've noticed is their brain, you know how their cardiovascular system just completely effectively goes insane? Well, the cells in the brain also don't handle that very well. So there's a lot of inflammation. So it's very
Indeed.
difficult to,
Once we're able to determine what these cells are, might be able to manipulate them into changing them a little bit. Help reduce inflammation of the brain as a start.
and if we could also find a way to make whatever these queens are, if what he says is true, that would also be useful. Or to
that's
turn
the
someone
thing,
into
that
a
was-
queen safely.
Exactly. That was the one thing that he did say, though, is that they cannot be born or made. So if we're going to be following very simple logic, whatever these queens are, I don't think can be born or made. Honestly, I think that this
I wonder if
queen
it has
either might
something
be
to
the
do
origin.
with the plane.
Exactly. I was just about to get to that. This queen might be the originator of the cells.
Perhaps the cells work as some sort of assimilation
Parasites?
system? And the only reason it works so poorly in our organic systems is that it's not from this plane, and so they don't process well. You were about to say?
Yes, I do. I do wonder then what, well, I suppose what's the intent of the cells are, because clearly this is, well, fairly unintended side effect of, whatever they're supposed to be doing in the first place.
Perhaps it's like how some ants will capture other ant colonies as workers. Soldiers, maybe? It's difficult to know, plus we never know because we're seeing it through the lens of the intended purpose of Malleus, not what the original purpose is of whatever species they're from. But either way, if it is a way to make an army that is mind-controlled by one specific person, it's very dangerous.
Indeed.
I also started the experiment to study serum's impacts on offspring, but it's gonna be like 2 more weeks until we get a result. Give it a
Yes, I'm going to be starting that. And the experiments I'm going to be starting on my end is to see if what would happen if we give a double dosage.
Oh dear.
Definitely prepare for whatever comes. Though if you can get footage or pictures of these frog hulks, or if you
I will
put
be
in-
able to give you footage of the frog hulk.
if I could see the corpse next time you come over, would appreciate getting samples. I can give you samples of the rat hulks as well, so we can study each other's and get first-hand visuals on what they do.
Indeed. Luckily I was able to get
Man.
samples, quite a few of them, so... And we still have the body, we haven't been able to dispose of it, because it's...
Dispose of it. Are you not going to do a full autopsy?
Well, after the autopsy,
Okay.
of course.
We have a fully functioning morgue, so if there's any samples that you're willing to let me hold on to, I'd be glad to keep them. Maybe I can start collecting jars of different Hulk hearts. That would be an interesting collection.
I was about to say, if you start collecting eyeballs... But hearts...
The eyes are
that's-
interesting. In the old serum usage before they were hulking out, and in old hulks, their eyes are quite clouded. They seem to have poor vision.
They were
But in
blind.
the newer hulks, Yes, and
Yes,
with newer
that's what I found
Hulks,
out.
they seem, and these new Rat Hulks, they actually seem to have their visions just fine. So,
Well,
Indeed.
which knowing they were blind would have been very useful before. But it is what it is.
they are getting closer. Or
And so
Indeed.
are we.
closer to perfection.
Mm. We
The
don't
only
need.
problem is, I don't think the last chance was the goal anymore.
Mm-mm. Otherwise, the fact that they found out how to make it, it would be the main thing
Would
right
have been
now.
enough. Exactly.
So what is it that the Hulk serum does that the last chance doesn't? Actually, we know the Hulk serum can in fact bring people back from the dead. So what if they're trying to not only bring people back from the dead, but make them bigger and stronger and controllable?
Super soldiers.
Super soldiers.
That is in fact what the Hulk serum does that the last chance serum does not.
And the worst part is, it doesn't have to be right after they die. Perhaps
Unfortunately, it
they're
does
making
seem,
a better last chance serum.
and it does seem that whatever, perhaps the goal then is to make the effect last longer, or perhaps even permanent, rather than only being temporary.
Unfortunately, that means we're gonna have to try and figure stuff out a bit more on dead bodies. Make some more zombie rat hulks. Which, luckily, last time they exploded after a few minutes, so they seem to take care of themselves. But, I don't think Sparrow will enjoy us invading his home a little bit more.
I mean, I would. That would be unfortunate.
We'll give him a heads
but
up next time.
It's not a good place to make a home, I suppose.
No, it's not. If it wasn't the Hulk, it would have been a sewer bear. He's lucky it was a Hulk.
Sewer
there's
bears
a way,
are
of course.
a monstrosity worse than anything in the world. They
Oh
shouldn't
god,
exist.
imagine a hulked out sewer bear.
Please don't even entertain that thought.
No, Yark wanted to have a pet bear for a while, and every time I didn't even know how to explain to someone like that. Like, if you even consider it as an idea without realizing the immediate problems.
If
Not a sewer
rats
bear, though.
and
Thank God he
frogs-
didn't want a pet sewer bear, because that would have been, oh.
If
I think,
rats
we
and
were
frogs
entertaining the
are
thought
able
the
to
other
turn
day.
into these massive monstrosities, what would happen if we get something like a bird or a bear?
A bear is about between 1,000 and 2,000 times the size of a rat.
Or
Body
perhaps
weight-wise.
something that... or even worse, perhaps something that is already a monstrosity.
I see no benefit for us to test that out, but I don't put it as Marlo.
I did not
No.
intend to test that out either.
No. My
just
first
as a-
thought was I could just try it out, but then I realized that would be a terrible idea, and I think I did.
As just a
There's no real reason.
as a what we are potentially up against.
And also, I still need the sample from the Promethean. Actually, do we know they're called that? Shoot, I don't remember. From the thing.
Yes.
We do know they're called. Okay, sorry.
I
didn't know to keep
learned it
them
and
up.
I told you. Yes.
Oh, okay, you told me. I wasn't sure. A sample from the Promethean. Because they could also be linked. It could be just some way that they have those serums have a completely different effect.
Well, I already gave you the one sample, so...
No, you didn't. You gave me the armor sample. You never gave me the blood sample.
that I did give you the blood.
Nope.
See, I thought
It's
so
Would you like a
too.
trip over to the Hollow
I
today,
thought so
just so
too,
we can
but
A, give you the blood sample,
can-
and then
we can
B,
can
give
swing
you some
by.
samples of the frog hulk?
Mhm.
Yeah, we can do
Yes,
that real
we can
quick.
swing by there on the way back.
But other than that, let's just
Are there any
reiterate what our
samples you need
plans.
from me?
Samples? No, you're right now probably. You have already the samples, well, not samples, but information about your rat hulks,
Mm.
and then I can get you the frog hulk and do that autopsy.
Mm.
It's probably going to be what I'm going to be doing for these next few weeks. Those experiments and then the autopsy.
Mm.
What about you two?
And then I'm gonna be looking more into the planes and the location of the origin and any sort of weaknesses that creatures from that plane have. Is there anything else? Do you have any ideas?
As interesting as it is, I do believe the drug Y, I feel like might be a somewhat of a dead end. Maybe I could look into perhaps perfecting the
Why?
we've
was that one
already
again?
That's the precursor to the tiger drug. It's the cells only. I'm still looking
When we,
into
made
exactly
more-
what goes into the chemical.
when we tried
component
to
of
make
that.
more tiger serum. It's
Mm,
not quite. It's not
Mhm.
quite there. That one.
right.
I think our naming convention was slightly different, and I've forgotten what it was. But
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have named it drug like PT or something like that. But at this point, it would be confusing to rename it again.
Alright, write it down.
that might be somewhat of a dead end, unless perhaps we could use it to save on
Perhaps you could work
tiger
on
drug
the.
when making the black drug.
I believe I did test its mixture with the W drug at some point, but I think
Oh,
it
you
did
did?
make. I think it did make black drug. However, I believe it. The process of making drug Y, and then using it to make a black drug, it just takes more time than just using the original tiger drug used to make.
Of course.
You can't. It seems like you can't make tiger drug, more tiger drug from just tiger drug. There's something else that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You could work on the greenhouse and get that up and running, as well.
Of course. Actually, I think
If we're kind
it's
of at a
just
dead
about.
end.
It is just about done, I do believe. But of course, I mean, I might get back to I suppose producing medical supplies. But I do want to look in. I do want to look into I suppose the anti-Hulk properties of the black truck. Then maybe I could do that.
Then we can make some more. That's simple enough.
Indeed.
Oh,
Luckily, I'm
drug
gonna
Y,
be-
if injected into a creature, just makes its skin melt off.
Oh dear.
It's not beneficial in any way. It's very disturbing.
Alright. But
However,
yes,
if you ever
once
want to
that-
sample of it, let
Yes,
me know.
I do feel that might be a dead end,
Maybe.
somewhat of a dead end, perhaps. Maybe
Mhm.
just not based off of
Perhaps,
anything. Just
but we'll see if
I
it's a
think
viable.
at least
insight, yeah.
without the missing
Sure.
ingredient, without knowing what the missing ingredient
Mhm.
is.
I think
Might
a
work
lot
as
of our
another-
process going forward is going to be looking into the information of the things that we concluded from the actual physical experiments until we gain new intel that leads us further into new experiments, or we find something significantly new. If we can find something to test out when it comes to the properties of drugs, then we'll continue with hands-on, but also we're waiting on the results of the offspring test, and if we get some completely new results with that, then that will lead to future tests as well. But we'll have to see what comes of it.
Yes, and we'll definitely see what would happen if with the double dosage.
Mm. And then we'll
Luckily
also look
nothing-
into comparing the rat hulk and rog hulk samples. I can also work on that.
Perfect. I know you two will be able to double the amount of science that I would be able to do, so...
Mm. It's nice having a team. Well, I guess I kind of had a team earlier, but it was more a lot of assistance than people who did their own experiments, so... I didn't exactly have the best luck with lab assistants before.
At this rate, I'm probably just gonna have to go solo at this rate.
Mm.
Don't think the good doctor will allow anyone else.
If there's
So-
ever anything you don't want him watching and you want an experiment done, let us know.
Alright. I don't think there is anything at the moment, though.
There is one thing that you could try. That, since I'm already doing offspring tests, try injecting the serum into undeveloped eggs of frogs. See how they develop. I'm not sure what'll come of it, but it's interesting to know how it'll affect offspring. It might just kill it. It might make something completely new. It might have no effect.
Indeed. Probably would be a lot better than trying to inject pregnant rats. The baby of a pregnant rat. Of an unborn rat. Whatever.
Yeah.
One of those.
It's more difficult.
Yes.
You can't really
The
seal
fetus,
out
yeah.
an egg of a rat, so... At least not
Mhm.
with the equipment I have.
Indeed.
As for the last chance, it's nigh unusable and we won't get to anyone in time if we're separated. So what are we gonna do?
Indeed.
We could talk to Anne about what she would want to do and then get back, but it's something that I realized after how quickly we had to use the serum after the rat passed away.
Yes, it would be impossible
Well-
for us to combine our serums together, so... And as we said before, it might be too much for one side, so we might just have to leave it as is. But
Until
the one thing,
A
if
conclusion is found.
the one thing that I do know is that we will be finding more, most likely.
At the very least, some that they perhaps may not be actively making but are stored somewhere.
Indeed.
Well, I suppose there's no guarantee of that, but if we're not going to be using it as a tool, I suppose then there's not much more to be done. But of course, we should probably discuss that with
Anne, have you discussed with Toku about what it is yet? Or are you remaining
We
keeping it
have,
secret?
and he's probably already forgotten about it, knowing him.
I just would hate for us to do
With everything
anything
going
with it,
on.
and then them go, we need it now, and we go, we already used it. So leadership should really make the decision on what we do with it. And both sides need to agree, because if one side wants to use it and the other side doesn't, obviously one side, you can't really compromise. It's either use it or don't.
Well, I understand the hesitation of using it on someone, perhaps, though. Perhaps,
That
though,
brings
for
up a good
the aid
question.
in mission objectives. That seems fairly, like it might be somewhat more fair. Maybe.
We could also save it for Marlowe when we're all together.
That's, yes, precisely.
Question though, which is rise for concern. When you tested it on the rat, you gave it its proper dosage, right? 10% of the original?
Yes. But it still
And
died.
it wasn't enough.
Which means we may not have enough still for one person.
Okay, exactly.
However, it would
It's,
give them at the very least a half hour to, if nothing else, say goodbyes, but ideally, in a pinch, they're basically a dead man walking, trying to complete a mission. And hell hath no wrath, like someone who doesn't fear death. So, it's a risk, either way. It was a risk before we knew what it did, and it's a risk now. That's why we can't rely on it. It's why in my opinion, we should test the whole thing and not plan on using it. However, that's not
Honestly,
what
that's what
I was told to do.
honestly.
Yeah.
I actually agree with
Because
that.
imagine the
point.
resentment on the person who it gets used on. Or
You know.
if someone has to pick
Exactly.
between two people.
You know, on our way home the other night from the Lotus, I got, well, I suppose, caught up with Matt, Willow, and I went to the Lotus, and a couple of whispers there. They were explaining the plan of the plan of infiltrating of Marlowe City, and well, oh boy, is it a plan where it has multiple steps, none of which can fail. Literally, if any step of the plan fails even slightly, the whole thing unravels. I feel that
The plan is... I can't begin to describe my feelings towards the plan, but...
I'm not familiar with the plan, but if you guys can't establish communication outside of Marlowe due to their noisemakers and signal blockers, then it's already dead in the water.
The whole plan, as I know it, is we'll be sending in a team disguised as prisoners. And someone on the inside might potentially open the door for them to get out. Then they'll have to make their way to the control room to open up the door for us. I have no idea how far from the cell block from the prisoner block is to the wall, or any of that steps.
Send
Because
me
they will
any
be
questions you
weaponless.
have,
well,
and I'll see if I can ask them with our insider. If I can
There
get any
were,
sort of intel that might assist you, then...
Well, that's the thing. Our insider is the one helping plan all that.
Is your insider Felix?
Mr. Sparrow and and in turn probably Mr. Felix. Yes.
Then we have the same insider. I haven't heard anything of his plan, but it's not like I talked to him directly.
Apparently, Anne just found out the other day after already having a meeting about it
well,
about a month ago.
it wasn't the other day, but it was relatively recently.
Gotta love communication.
I was under the impression that she knew. So, but we were waiting on the Fallen to actually help pick
She was
candidates
ill
for
for
that,
a week,
but
so it's difficult.
the plan was set. well before that, though. That's the issue, so. But what is in the past is in the past, and now the Fallen knows, or at least leadership will know, and we'll discuss how they're gonna inform people, and then go from there.
Oh dear.
Well,
And,
people need to get their shit together for Marlowe if they want him to survive that race. It's unforgiving.
Indeed.
Well, I don't know. I have my opinions on the plan as well. Perhaps, to avoid sending in people just to die, perhaps, that might be an appropriate use of, the last chance serum. Who knows?
You also need to make sure to
Considering
pick
that
people
step of the plan cannot fail.
that are extremely professional and will not goof around.
In the slightest.
Because they will see death and fucked up situations there. Make no mistake.
I'm not worried who we're sending. I'm just more... because I believe they can work their way through. It's just how long and effective before they just get shot down. It's entirely up to them, because who we're sending in, one of them is Mr. KC, which will be fun to see how because I believe he can actually get through that.
I
At
believe
least he might be the only one
seems
to
actually
get through.
to know his stuff, even if he is a little unhinged.
He does. That's why I trust him. That's why I picked him to lead during that second training.
There's other people I've noticed and we've discussed that seem... if they can't follow orders, and if they can't stay focused, then they're definitely going to be a danger to the people beside them. It's not just about one person. If they make a mistake, it's about the whole team. So they need to work together extremely well.
Indeed. Sadly, this is a volunteer effort, and hopefully the people we're sending that volunteered would be able to work together. I think they could, but...
Perhaps put them on
It
a
all
smaller
depends.
mission beforehand that will test their communication.
I don't
and
think
teaming.
we have the
Well, there
ability to, because if one of them is injured right before,
there will be a...
Perhaps just an
then-
escape room then.
that actually is a good
Honestly-
idea. We might put him in an escape. Ooh.
You know,
Put them in an escape
might put
room,
them
no
in an
actual
escape
threat.
room.
You know, I actually
But
know
let
a
them
place.
know this is how you're judging their behavior.
Right.
Funnily enough, I
Didn't-
actually know a place.
Yeah, didn't you go
Well,
there
it-
with Mr. Toronto? Right? There we go. We just need to figure out who in your side will be actually going, and then we bag them, tag them, put them in the room, unzip the bag, let them go, and tell them they have
We're
to get
very
out.
good at that.
I've heard.
You find a way.
So,
So yes, as for who we pick, I'm not sure if we'll send in anyone that was previously in Marlowe, since the majority of those people were leadership and the other two were Butch and I. So,
right.
and I would be better at the base doing research than stealthing through Marlowe. I don't always do the best under high intense situations like that.
I had half in mind to volunteer, but I
Indeed.
probably don't do the best under stealth conditions. But
So we'd probably be better off on the outside.
Indeed.
yes, it does seem like
I know
Mr.
we're sending in
Math
two
was
of our
considering,
scouts, so...
volunteering.
Who could we send? Oddly enough, even though he's leadership and we kind of need all of our leadership, Sean would probably be best. He's very good on the
Well, the
field.
thing is, it
And he's used
is
there once.
it's a volunteer operation.
Well,
Because
I don't
it's
think
a
there's
suicide
many people in the
mission.
Fallen who wouldn't volunteer, but I'll have to see. There's a lot of people who are very eager and willing, so I'm trying to consider who would be the best matches. But
Indeed.
mhm.
The one thing I do know is that we'll be there probably for about 2 months
Mm.
in Marlow. So we're gonna have to consider who gets
Perhaps-
injured and who is able to go and actually try to get teams.
We'll have to send at least 2
situated
medics
before.
then. Because if something happens to one medic, we don't want them high and dry, so we need to have 2 medics. Do we know what number we want the team
Something-
on? Do we want 10 people, 6 people?
Something we might want to consider, and something that I suppose I found out yesterday. I'm sure that both of you are fairly trustworthy. Is apparently the first step of the plan, even before we get to Marlow, is going to be to capture Mr. Jimmy and reprogram him, so that we can
They're talking about that plan again.
take
Oh, yeah, I
his,
forgot. Yeah, that's the
his
plan.
boat.
Really? It's boat
Yes.
There's so many different ideas and plans, but luckily in
That's-
2 weeks,
The
It
one
would
that I was
create a
told.
second
Wednesday.
insider, however, taking him down would be very difficult. That would likely come down to sending out our techies and mechies against him,
yeah, but
which
the one
most of our
thing-
techies have no field experience.
the thing is though,
Sorry.
if anything, we will be getting Miss Lono's help with that. And the bolts to disable synthetics.
Mhm.
But before any of this, we will be having a joint meeting with everyone on the 13th. Fallen, Whisperer, O'Delly, everyone will be able to put their cards on the table and we can actually plan out what we're doing and not just having ideas of using a boat, capturing Jimmy, posing as prisoners. We'll actually have a proper plan. Perhaps those might be in that plan, but we'll actually have a plan and contingencies.
We also need
Because-
to consider the threats of Hermes, Lucky, the Prometheans, those 2 sisters I've heard about, as well as Malleus himself. We don't know how invested he is and what he has at his disposal.
Right. Don't tell anyone this,
Oh, yeah.
but Mr. Hermes will be at that meeting as well.
What?
Oh,
Apparently he has one reason or another to assist us in that regard of going taking Marlowe.
Fuck it, I'll take it.
how interesting.
I never know what's going through that person's head.
We have no idea what anything's going through anything's head at this rate. I've stopped trying.
He
this-
probably sees that maybe he thinks that we'll actually be able to pull this off and he wants to be on the winning side. Which is both terrifying, but also, if that's the case, would be convenient.
Remember, don't tell this to anyone.
Of
The only
course.
reason why I'm telling
I'm
you
very
to
good
is
at
because
holding
I
on
can
to
trust you
secrets.
two.
I
We
mean,
need to have trust with each other.
they'll
So-
they'll all find out anyway at the meeting.
Oh, indeed.
So we-
Someone will say something, and yeah.
I mean,
There's going to be
I
quite
mean,
a bit of
presumably if it's a meeting,
emotion.
if it's a meeting amongst everyone, then presumably everyone will find out anyway.
I don't think everyone will be there, but leadership will be there.
All right, you.
Mm.
All right, never mind then.
Ah boy, I can't wait for the next PowerPoint.
Well, there's that.
Has there been any
then.
PowerPoints recently? I'm
You know, I
actually
actually-
wondering
I
that.
actually
Both
haven't
thankfully and unfortunately, no.
No, I
Oh,
actually
good.
haven't
That's
been
good to
given
hear,
the-
at least.
Remind me. I might need to catch up on those PowerPoints. Actually, I don't think I've been. It was mentioned.
I'll
that-
show them to you. They're very entertaining. They're both entertaining, but at the time very stressful. When you know the information, it's fun to kind of go through them because you can see people's thought processes. But as you're processing the information at the moment, they're terrifying. So when you see a new PowerPoint, like, you know, pop up, then that's when your heart starts racing and you start to go, oh no, what now?
Yes, even our very own Mr. KC made a PowerPoint at one point.
I saw it.
Oh, we actually had a
It was
dramatic
interesting.
reading of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was an experience and a half. Stole my glasses while writing it.
He's an eccentric man, but he knows his stuff. When it comes to the field, he does extremely well. And he also was chasing a rat hulk for several hours without dying, so, I mean, I must commend his abilities.
Exactly. That's why I have been putting my trust into him. Some things he might get a little overreactionary towards, but
I
every
suppose
person has their
everyone is.
flaws.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything else?
It gives great back cracks as well.
Huh?
He was a medic for about 5 minutes as a chiropractor.
Is that really considered a medic? Do you think that chiropractic would make Yark stop snoring? No, I don't think that'd do it.
You might be able to find him some of those nose
There's only one way to
strips.
find out.
I tried, it only helped a little bit. He also hates wearing them. Someone probably broke his nose years ago and it's probably just fucked it up.
Maybe.
Well, if that's that, my coffee cup is empty, and so I believe that's a sign. Oh, it's been empty for a while now.
We have uncertain days ahead. I can
Is
say
that
that
not
much.
our life?
I like to have certainties in my life, which I've been
suppose-
able to do for a while. So far, there's only been 2 now that I haven't been able to anticipate.
My days have been unanticipated for the past almost year now, so...
Certainty can surely be nice,
I wish.
but
Hopefully soon we can actually try to relax one of these days.
Imagine. I think if I actually, you know, relax it all, my heart will immediately give out and my pacemaker will go off.
Who knows? I might have something. Perhaps we can go to the arcade or something. One of these days.
Maybe the beach.
there will be a
There's no good beaches around
The
here.
beach.
there will be a party due before,
That's the problem.
before any missions are had.
Didn't a pool open over at the arcade? I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Yes,
Shit,
there
I'm
has
gonna have to get a
actually.
swimsuit.
Yes, it did.
At least wait till after I get a swimsuit.
And it's
I-
covered, which is nice.
I don't have a
Oh, yeah.
swimsuit, but
But yeah, they probably
I was
wouldn't want...
swimming anyway.
Well, we'll go shopping. We'll stay in touch.
We do have the group chat. Have a good one, you two.
You as well. Stay safe, or at least keep all your bits intact. And we're good. Woo!
Ooh. Hello.
Oh, nice
Do you?
map name. What's the name of that one cafe where like you're out on a street and you have to go downstairs?
You're out on a street.
That's like
That's like 20
is it the one with the? Is it the one with the ice cream?
With the one with the
sundaes?
sunroof. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, we got that. I'm pretty sure. I
the
got
donut.
it. I,
Do I have to switch to bar jazz now?
The Dippin' Dots.
okay, never mind. It's
I don't know
not.
unless
Yeah,
you
I
got
got
better.
I got you.
I
got
was just
you.
gonna
No,
do
no,
a
no.
drive, because I literally just had coffee. I'm
Oh.
not gonna go have another coffee immediately after.
There's
mean-
the bar with the ice cream sundae,
actually,
which you
yeah,
gave me.
Marjorie has been trying to cut back.
I can
She's
give
been
you the
trying.
Dippin' Dots one, the old one that with that Shiv used to go. If you want to move out of the way.
Yeah. I got. Okay, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, we going Dippin' Dots.
yeah, I forgot that's what we called it.
Fun.
We can
gonna
recommend.
see if I can
We
put it
can
over here.
recommend Mr. Casey as a chiropractor for your snoring.
Marjorie immediately goes, no.
Get in the portal,
I
you
was going to
fools.
have to start doing rolls for that.
Hmm.
Dippity doppity.
Yeah, just let me set up everything real quick.
You good?
I don't expect this to be long, but it's just something I wanted to get out of the way. 'Cause I never got
That's
the
fine.
chance to.
I know, Marge is just talking to a million different people lately. Today
Yeah,
has
what's
been
funny
is
is
like
I
an
don't wanna
endless
see the
roleplay
frog.
day.
Here, I'm gonna show you guys.
Zhao,
do you wanna
I
see my
wanted
new
to
rat?
add-
Oh, and you're on. You're on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I made a
I
new
was
rat
going to say.
using the same model
like
that the other ones did.
Oh,
Okay, good. They're about the same
But-
size-ish.
Yeah,
You're close
perfect.
enough.
It.
But yeah, check
The,
it out.
the frog hunches a bit more, basically. That's legitimately the only difference in size is the frog hunches a bit more.
Zhao, you don't know
Yeah.
how like fitting this is. The
What is
fucking
fitting?
in Warhammer in Total Warhammer, the rats and the fucking lizards are at war with each other.
And this is a lizardman model, so it fits perfectly.
All right, when are we getting the battle
What
royale?
happened?
Yeah, I need to add like striking. Yeah, I need to add strike.
Well, the thing
Black
is, it makes
market, we're
sense that
trying.
rats would have teeth and claws, while you have the tongue, and you also have the defense of the harder exoskeleton. So they're kind of
Yeah, the harder shields.
so the rat has more offensive stuff, but you have both the defensive and utility offensive thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I need to get a better sound.
And yeah, I have a roar, I have a rumble, and then I have just like a.
Okay.
Oh
Everything's
Oh
set
my
on my
god!
end.
See, the frog is actually
I also
like
have a seat on my
the
back.
the frog is actually terrifying though because like at
It's
least
kinda
as
scuffed, but
like maybe not
should
against
be,
other
like-
Hulks. Maybe
It's
not
like
against other
way up
Hulks, but the
back.
frog was like swallowing people
There you go.
or like attempting to.
Yeah, the frog actually almost swallowed someone.
Yeah, well, the rat will just
It
shred
like
you.
had like half of their like body in their mouth as they're trying to
Because
like.
frogs eat things whole, it makes sense, while a rat chews things apart. They have different strategies because of their species. The tongue is so good. When I saw the tongue, I togged so hard. I togged.
Hey,
Hey, Lone, I had-
last minute thing.
I have a
wanna make it
stupid
faster.
idea.
What?
Does the tongue have a bone?
Yes. I
My
can't
nose
put
does.
a
Touch my
seat,
nose.
though.
Wiggle my nose. Wiggle my nose.
You put a seat.
We go.
Put a seat on the.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, put a,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Put a seat on the tongue, so.
That'd be really hard to react to.
Blink.
Hmm.
I mean, you
Put
could.
a seat that
Yeah,
puts
it's
someone inside of
finger
you so they
point.
can yell from inside of you. For me, the claws are just if one of the hands is open, it does the claws, and if you close both, it bites. And then the actual sounds themselves are just options on the menu.
Yeah, the growl is. I need to get a better one because it has like a second delay.
Yeah, you can just edit out the first little bit. Yeah.
Where's
Nose
the
wiggle.
nose?
Snarf.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Wonderful.
I saw that it had a bone, and I'm like, I can do something with this. And also the tail can be grabbed.
Oh no. Yeah, you
I
can see the
can't reach.
it's like a little dinky little
I'm too
tail-looking thing.
I'm too
Oh,
small.
look at it, the little wiggle waggle.
Man,
Got a little weak one.
Why
I
is
really hope
everyone
that we
like?
find a reason to have these two fight, just as like a pit fight. Just for
Like,
fun.
no, there
So
doesn't
why
need
is
to.
everyone
There doesn't
shaking
actually
Mark?
need to be a reason. It just has to happen. Like, it just has to happen. Like,
It
that's
just
not.
has to happen one way or another.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if we went up to Vaso and be like, okay, we have the best idea, he'd probably go for it.
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, no, I've already like messaged Kaz about it. Oh yeah. Where is here we go. Yeah, I've already talked to
Especially now
Kaz
with
about it
with
and
the new
everything.
upgraded one, where it actually has stuff instead of just being a plain model. I'm really happy with how the claws came out. I had to adjust it because my pointer finger on this, so it just does it if either hand is open palm. And it's toggled on.
Yeah, I
Or
might
if
do
as
something
soon as
like that
anything
as well.
changes on both of them, it's...
Yeah.
I also really like what I did for the particle for the bite.
Little blood particle, yeah.
And the two... Punchy.
Yeah,
Okay, now we
I
actually
couldn't
go
get.
into...
Okay. So
Wait.
I'm guessing the way I'm spinning this is that Yark was just sitting in the car the whole time.
It could have been if you want to have Fiona there. I didn't know if you wanted to be a private talk.
It could be semi-private.
like
You
I
guys can go if
didn't
you want.
want.
You don't have to stay, but okay. Well, I could also have dropped Fiona off
Copy
and then
me.
driven off with Yark. Copy you?
But-
Oh, I'm like,
Well, yeah, you would have probably went to the Hollow first to actually get the supplies in this.
yeah, we literally just drove by the hollow, got our stuff, and left. I dropped it off at the home base, dropped off Fiona. And picked
So
up
then
Yark.
copy me.
Alright,
Wait,
so-
why?
Okay.
Are you
Do
ready?
it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Oh, that's why.
Let me turn off one thing. There we go. What better?
All right.
Yes, we started.
Ready when you are.
Yep.
All right. Cards
Three.
up. Let's go.
Okay.
Am I actually?
3, a 2, a 1. Cards up.
Hey, so we're back at this
Should've brought
fucking
my
place.
It's been a while, hasn't it?